coming from the truth space. We ain't entertaining neighbors. I don't give a fuck what you say. Found the universal coochie, planting seeds and birds fruit. Now I'm really looking juicy. Welcome to the true space. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the true space. Welcome to the true space. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the true space. Yeah, we coming from the true space. We ain't entertaining neighbors. I don't give a fuck what you say. Found the universal coochie, planting seeds and birds fruit. Now I'm really looking juicy. Welcome to the true space. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the true space. Welcome to the true space. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the true space.
What's good, y'all? My name is Open Book. This is my partner.
Hey guys, this is Hearth. Welcome back to Truspace.
Yep, and this is your weekly horoscope. So let's get into the energies this week. Looking at Monday, December 19th. The moon is going to conjunct the south node in Scorpio. How do you think this alignment is going to hit us off?
So right now we're gonna be emotionally trying to basically transform, trying to take power and control through being fixated and stubborn through what's preventing us emotionally from moving further when it comes to our social life. Specifically coming from Libra. And Libra, when the moon was in Libra, it was all about initiating those conversations and beginning to move further and initiating those conversations for what we practicalized and what we harvested in Virgo, coming from us to Leo, what we performed. But now having the moon right now in Scorpio, it's time for us to take emotionally, be emotionally settled, and the moon is debilitated. So we're trying to see what we need to transform, but it's very hard for us to feel onto what makes us feel vulnerable and try to take power and control of this. So it's almost like we're trying to take power and control of our vulnerabilities so we could utilize it as a form of strength. So as the moon conjunct the south node, you're diving deeper in that type of energy. So as it hit the sextile with Mercury and Venus in Capricorn, as you take power control of your emotion, you're seeing opportunity on how you could think further and communicate more and love and appreciate what you need to do in terms of initiating more about your business, your status, in terms of practicality. And this is really good because you're solidifying your emotional stance as the moon conjuncting the south node, so you can see more opportunity to think more clearly and try to love and appreciate and even indulge on how you could move further when it comes to your practicality, what you want to prepare yourself for the beginning of winter season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And solidifying things. That's why, Scorpio is kind of like the signal of winter coming, So when Scorpio comes, or the Scorpio energy has that energy of preparing you for winter. And that's why it's talking about, close connections and close relationships, because that's what you do once it starts getting cold. You can't be as social or traveling, and connected with people all that's far and stuff like that. The relationships that you have that are real close, the ones where maybe somebody would weather a snowstorm to come and save you or help you out, those are the relationships that matter come winter season. And that's what gets solidified with Scorpio. But yeah, it seems like a real trap for comfort with the moon conjuncting the south node, where you can really get comfortable in the past. Maybe a situation may allow you to kind of close up those deeper inner aspects because of routine and pattern, or because of a level of familiarity, and not open yourself up to that vulnerability. Sometimes familiarity takes you away from opening up to that. That's why it opposing the north node right now, which exposes you brought to the new possibilities that are possible, to the things that are uncomfortable that you need to learn to further develop. Not necessarily that you have learned and mastered from your past experiences, but what you need, the new experiences that you need to learn, go and master, to become a fuller version of yourself. So a real trap for comfort into those past ways, and to not see how emotional stability, or how embracing intensity and vulnerability can really serve to to better you and help clean the energy in your life, in medical astrology, how Scorpio is really about detoxing.
Exactly, exactly. How can you build a proper structure without detox? Yeah, yeah. That's how a business fail.
Exactly, and we'll look at the sextile with Mercury and Venus in Capricorn. How that detox is creating a real opportunity for more conversations and appreciation and relatability to happen on your business side. Once you realize what really matters and once you get your emotions, in check. So that's what avoiding your emotions do. So with the moon in Scorpio, really trying not to run away from intense situations or for things to get deep, really even trying to facilitate, getting into the depth of the conversation, the elephant in the room. That's what everybody hates Scorpio for, why they're so scared of Scorpio, because they go to the heart of the matter, and they're able to handle that level of intensity. But when you do, and what's important gets out in the surface, look at how it helps you mentally organize, or this opportunity to mentally organize and balance your businesses by being able to get serious because your emotional energy is in check. Yeah, and then what about the opposition with the North Node in Taurus and Uranus in Taurus with the Moon in
So
Scorpio?
obviously, as you're being forced to detoxify more out of your vulnerabilities, so you could take an emotional stance to prepare yourself for more business related things. You gotta really transform yourself and prepare for the work that needed to be done through the North Node and Uranus and Taurus. Since Uranus is debilitated here, so it takes a lot of like nervous system energy to be put through your physical body, so you can really create a new unique product and something original. And the North Node there is obviously specifying what you need to do for your spiritual path. And obviously in Taurus here, there's a lot of sense of comfortability and a lot of stubbornness. And I feel like obviously having Mercury and Venus in Capricorn here will obviously bring that mindset of being more bossy or taking more action and power control of your assets, your farm, or what you built it so far. And especially with the moon conjunct the south node right now, you're detoxifying, so you could more entrepreneurship, so you could deal with this heavy opposition that the north node and Uranus and Taurus are in.
Hmm. I get what you mean because Taurus will be so naturally fixated on one set of thing that's known as practicality, one set of tradition, what's tried and true, while Capricorn would really be initiative to these new ways and be able to mix and manage in ways that Taurus wouldn't see, and probably can come to Taurus in a way that no other sign can, to show them that if you were to just be stubborn in this area, you would be more secure, and they speak Taurus's language like that for sure. And then what about Chiron and Aries making a square with Mercury and Venus in Capricorn?
So obviously we've been having current in Aries for a long time. So it's all about
Hmm.
the wound for the wound about the wound for self and for the wound for individuality, for self-expression. Every time you try to initiate, give birth to something, you're reminding of the mistakes uh, that could actually help you to move further when it comes to your individuality and things of that nature. So Karyan is here, you're healing yourself through going these experiences where you go wrong when it comes to self-expression, individuality. And the square to Mercury and Venus in Capricorn, as Mercury and Capricorn is making you, Mercury and Venus is making you focus more on business, practicality, and initiating those things. These things are aggravating your sense of individuality that you cannot correlate properly yet, since it's making you move further in your life and that's past your social life. This is like the God world, so it's like forcing you to put
Hmm.
that. It's accelerating your self development of your individuality through taking action. I feel like Capricorn is like practical individuality, and Aries is like imagination individuality. Cancer is like your individuality at the home, and Libra is like your individuality in social life. So Capricorn is like your individuality and business, or like how
Hmm.
you could initiate things there. Yeah, so the square is gonna create
Hmm.
a lot of learning opportunity on how you could bring your wounds and how you could think about it and add use your mind and your love matters. And since they're being so hardened, and right now they're seeking something more solidified, and they're gonna make the way for you to deal with your wounds better from a practical stance. It's almost like getting your shit together.
Absolutely. Feel like cardinal squares are probably one of the strongest squares. Uh, just like for example, Raekwon, he's like a cardinal cross, and I just when I seen that and I was looking back at his life, I'm like, yo, this makes so much sense. It was just a series of unfortunate events, and and it's like you really can't blame. It kind of seemed like God didn't like the nigga, or he just had terrible luck. It really did seem like that. Where I think it's the cardinal that adds the initiative where things really happen so fast, where a whole bunch of experiences get accumulated, whereas maybe like a fixed square, you have more time to for the struggle for you to understand and know your enemy, and maybe the mutable, I don't know. With cardinal, it feels like things just happen so quick that it's harder to process things, but it's still one of the best learning experiences because you kind of stack learning experience after learning experience. You kind of get to learn things a little bit more faster with the cardinal square because things happen at that faster rate, or at least that's what I found, or that's what I've started to see.
Yeah. Hmm.
But yeah, that's how Monday's looking. Looking at Tuesday, uh, the moon in Scorpio is making an trine with Lilith in Cancer, and trining Neptune in Pisces too. How do you think that's gonna hit us?
So there's gonna be a heavy water trend where you're gonna obviously be emotionally try to emotionally transform deeper and then take power and control of these things. And this create opportunity for you to obviously deal with the dark side of your emotion at home, where you're trying to get really comfortable. But yeah, it's hard. But through the moon being in Scorpio, you're digging deeper and deeper. So it's creating an opportunity for you to like deal with home. And obviously with the trine with Neptune and Pisces, this is you like either having a good dream you could go towards, or you having an illusion that it could make you escape reality. But that's gonna be the choice you make during the moon in Scorpio. Are you gonna transform so you can prepare for the new moon in Capricorn for you to take more business and structure orientated mindset, or are you gonna stay vulnerable and hide? And this is gonna facilitate for you to obviously get more worried about death and cancer, how uncomfortable you are at home because how vulnerable you are and how you don't want to take an emotional stance. And obviously that's gonna facilitate for you to get lost more in Neptune and Pisces, but those certain influences. When you fixate certain emotions, this is the beginning for you to actually receive more of that feelings and things related to that.
Absolutely. Man, water trines are a time of real heightened sensitivity. So whatever emotions that you're around, whatever environment that you put yourself in, you have to be really cautious in terms of how they affect you emotionally, and having to learn how to mitigate what states of beings are beneficial for you to incorporate, and which ones you really got to stay away from, or which ones you got to shed and let go. But just like the Harith was saying, that this immense vulnerability, can really help start solidifying your emotional commitment to getting the bag, fulfilling, because we're coming into the end of Sagittarius season, where we're broadening our ideas of self, really starting to come into a reputation, or a status of how we want to act and be perceived or within the world at large. So us sorting out our emotions about this expansion of ourselves, of our broad optimistic views, and solidifying our emotions around what we've seen is going to help us really contract to Capricorn in the right way, where we start being conservative about the right things, where we don't start contracting and adding value to all of the nonsense that we may have expanded into, but have filtered throughout all of that through what resonates deepest with our emotions, and really seeing what's genuinely best for us, and allowing that to solidify, and that's the structure we build around. And coming into Capricorn season, what we start focusing. So this whole sensitivity, I feel like, is really preparing us emotionally for Capricorn season, because Capricorn's dry in itself too. So if you don't know how you feel, or if you have an environment surrounding you that's preventing you from detoxing the negative emotions and focusing on the positive ones, you're gonna have a tough time entering this Capricorn season, and really focusing on what matters and tapping into that efficiency Capricorn gives us all.
And it's gonna make you realize how really practicality and structure is inspired by like how you feel. Because a lot of us
Hmm.
sometimes end up building so much or getting into like practical or what makes sense before we forget earth elements getting it comes from the water element, and it started with that's the energy source.
Absolutely. Like you don't rise up to the highest ranks in a job that you don't give a fuck about. You know what I mean? Or a career that you don't care about. And you don't get as much payback, or you don't feel satisfaction from accomplishing something if you're not emotionally invested into it. So then your ways of establishing practicality will be dry, and you will get no emotional fulfillment of it. And that's not what it's about. It's not what it's about at all. Jupiter's
Deep
also
down.
entering Aries on Tuesday. How do you think that's gonna hit?
So Jupiter is all about expanding and extracting knowledge and wisdom, but it is all about expanding and extracting knowledge and wisdom from this idea or this imagination that we want to give birth to what we, in terms of our sense of individuality. Coming from Pisces, this is us obviously expanding our dreams or obviously our illusions, and that's gonna decide what we're gonna initiate when Jupiter goes into Aries. But since Jupiter was allowing us to build so much knowledge and wisdom based on our dreams, illusion, retrograding back and forth, this has really allowed us to see how does our that faculty of dreams, our emotions, how does it work with our brain and nervous system, or how these things work together. So as Jupiter enter Aries, you're getting you're getting the opportunity to almost wake up from this deep sleep to get ready to take action on something. I actually have vision. If you actually decided on something while Jupiter was in Pisces, but if you didn't, this and then as Jupiter goes into Aries, you're gonna have this sense of maybe anger or have nothing to expand and extract knowledge wisdom on, since you did nothing while Jupiter was in Pisces. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost like having you find well everybody's finding something to have find faith in. You didn't find no faith. It's almost, and then you became an atheist. But this is you didn't, because you didn't spend the time to do the learn to do the mysticism work, to study the stars, the planet, and so on and so forth. So when
Mm-hmm.
Jupiter goes
To
into
understand the
Aries,
broadest picture.
so when it goes Jupiter to Aries, everybody's fighting, like, and you have nothing to fight for,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
they could give you something to fight for.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, it quickly turns from, like, when Jupiter was in Pisces, was like, we all believe, and it was like, we believe, we believe this, but now it's really like, I believe, or I believe, or this is me, where people were trying to expand um in a more of a collective aspect with Jupiter and Pisces. Now, especially, we're on that cusp, because everything's more of a continuous, so it's not really like it stops, but that in between Pisces and Aries is probably one of the most selfish, narcissistic, areas in the zodiac sign, because this is the where the I am, the individual, meets with the collective. And at that
Mm-hmm.
level, you really can't tell a distinction, because sometimes thinking about the all, is selfish, or we do it in a selfish manner, and sometimes being selfish, you're really doing what's best for everybody. So it's like really this crossroads where you're thinking about everybody and you're being an individual as well, where it gets really confusing on that level. Or but as we're transitioning into Aries, you're starting to see more of that selfishness and where that selfishness is being directed to. So don't be, hurt if people start distancing themselves away from you. Like what I was saying, we're moving away from the expansion of us all as a collective, emotional collective, into, oh, who am I and what does that mean? What is my own personal journey? And so you may feel like it's harder to find more meaning and connection with people on that broader scale on your journey of life. It'll be harder to see yourself through other people. You kind of have to start manifesting, initiating new experiences for you to go through, for you to start understanding this new level of yourself. So yeah, that's what Tuesday is looking like. Wednesday, the moon in Sagittarius is making a trine with Jupiter in Aries. And how do you think this is going to hit?
So coming from this emotional transformation, you're ready to ascend your perspective through expressing a broader, mutable experience, even being indecisive with how you feel or what you see and what you believe in. But through this, you could extract knowledge and wisdom through expression. And this trying to Jupiter in Aries, as you're being more forced into expand on your own individuality. The moon in Sagittarius is providing you with all these experiences that we developed so far from Sagittarius season. As you're like moon in Sagittarius, this is the closing part where you're going over all these broad experiences and like
Hmm.
coming up with solidifying your understanding of God, and that will create the opportunity for you to begin having faith in that individuality or whatever you want to give birth to. But obviously also we have the opposition to Mars and Gemini. So this is you obviously going the seeing still these old ass conversations that you're still passionate about going over, but it's still mutable here. So Gemini, it's still indecisive. So as you're learning, getting down to your wisdom, and then beginning things for Jupiter in Aries, uses feeling these old conversations, but you know how to handle them since you now have a broader experience. And that's
Hmm.
what's beginning for you, the Jupiter in Aries facilitation of like your own individuality, of having sense of your own self, because you went through those mental fights and you broadened your sense of experiences, and you're ready now to move forward.
Hmm. For some reason, it made me think of like boxing, like mastering, like the like Sagittarius and Gemini is like when you become an like ultimate boxer, especially with Mars and Gemini. Or what the image it was giving me is being able to go the distance in rounds, where you would have this broad perspective. Like even look at it in like in a conversation, a lot of times Gemini will focus on one area of a conversation and the rest want to get looked at. But Sagittarius will have the whole big picture and not a lot of detail what will get discussed. But when you balance the two, you can hold the big picture of the conversation, or you can go the full distance of the fight, but you still can maintain the wit and the activeness during the whole thing, but still having perspective of the whole time. I mean, you can let the conversation go where it's going to go because you're talking about a broad topic, but somehow you're able to bring it back to a certain point and be able to break down certain details and stuff like that. This is when like full mastery, this is like wisdom and knowledge at like a higher level, if you get what I mean. Um, and that's really that culmination, or like a glimpse, or like a challenge that we may face on Wednesday, of be, having the challenge of being encapsulated in the broad picture, but still being able to have the desire to go and pick out the details and to be witty and to be fly on our feet and to be curious about something, even though that it seems broad, that we may still get a whole lot out of it, and really tap into the higher levels of our minds, where you're really blending, your higher mind with your lower mind. Jupiter's in Aries too, so a lot to learn about yourself through those challenges as well. But that's what I see on Monday. I mean Wednesday. So yeah, that's how Wednesday's looking. Looking at Thursday, the sun is entering Capricorn now, while making a square with Jupiter in Aries. How do you think this is gonna go down?
So it's gonna be interesting. So now the sun entering Capricorn is allowing us to obviously you're gonna have to take action. Our sense of self creativity is gonna be centered around this what we want to initiate the birth in terms of a structure, practicality through the ability of creating restrictions and boundaries, which might shun down our light dealing with the sun, and the sun's dealing with self-expression. But here we're putting this aside a little bit for a harder shell of practicality, doing what makes sense and things of that nature. Which is kind of funny because in real life, this is the time where you can't see the sun, you can't see the light and things of that nature. So having the square to Jupiter in Aries, as we're trying to expand and extract knowledge and wisdom in this idea, this individuality, and having faith in this is gonna create a learning opportunity for us when it comes to taking action and make us do the right things and have the proper self-expression that facilitate a business that obviously fits with what we want to expand and extract knowledge and wisdom in, aka this idea or this individuality. This square, it reminds me of, it's almost like you're trying to allow your brain and nervous system to develop further, but then the sun in Capricorn is you're gonna have to create some form of a movement within your skull to help that development to become better. You can't just allow your brain to grow and let the skull stay where it is. You gotta expand too, or you gotta build on it.
Hmm. I get what you mean. It's learning how to handle responsibilities, and the having a position or status in life while you're still trying to expand and learn about yourself, fulfilling a role or position while still trying to expand as a person. And even though it contradicts one another, you fulfilling that role and position helps you learn a whole lot about yourself, in terms of if you really don't drive it, then now you know that that's not who you are. Or if there's aspects of it that you do know, now I have a better view of what it is that you can provide to people, or what it could be used for, what you can set as your foundation for you to stand on. So for sure there's a huge learning opportunity to happen, so don't run away from the personal expansion, even though you may feel the weight of your responsibilities a lot right now. It's really
Mm-hmm.
about learning how to balance that. We can get too conservative with Capricorn, which makes sense, given that it's winter time, and you see the scarcity that is at hand. So Capricorn is Mr. Krabs energy all the way, all the fucking way, in
Mm-hmm.
terms of the penny pinching,
Mm-hmm.
and the uh, wanting to be the as efficient as possible, if you get what I mean. But you can get too lost in terms of not wanting to try new things, not wanting to you know go off the beaten path, and stuff like that. It's like you need a ladder to climb, you need a steady path, a steep mountain to climb. But once things get all weary
Oh.
and stuff like that, it kind of becomes harder to dive into that Capricorn energy, if you get what I'm saying. But that square is very
Mm-hmm.
useful.
Mm-hmm.
Capricorn is all about achieving the goal, you know what I mean? And reaching the mountaintop. That's why it's the mountain goat. Jupiter is more about the journey, So maybe it's like a glimpse into trying to learn how to enjoy the journey to the top. If you get what I mean. There's going to be dips and curves. It's not a straight line to the top of the mountain. And this square is kind of reminding you to that the whole point of this is to learn about yourself, or that there's more to enjoy in the journey and not
Mm-hmm.
just get caught up in the goal.
And it's getting you to almost like to test your faith and your sense of individuality when it comes to like the
Mm.
public world. You, when it comes to your business, your stance, and that's going to create the aggravation to see for you. Do you believe in that idea? Do you believe in that self-expression?
Yeah,
As your light getting dimmed.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. But that's like a spirit bomb or like a Kamehameha wave where it's like you have to concentrate the light. If you were to spread your light too thin, it wouldn't be as potent. So this is like a learning of how to maximize the potency of your internal light. That's really what Capricorn's about, at the highest level.
Definitely, definitely.
And the moon in Sagittarius is sextiling Saturn in Aquarius. How do you think that's playing out?
So you're gonna take all these broad expressions and broad experiences, and they're gonna allow for you to see how you could starting like Chris is like how can you like place yourself in society to create like how can you take part of some form of a group, some form of identity, so you could create some form of longevity on how you could progress society. So having the moon in Sagittarius right now, you're taking your own experiences and how you're finalizing things based upon your understanding of God, and see how you can incorporate that with the wicked restrictions and boundaries on the people you decide to communicate with, rebel with, progress with. Saturn and Aquarius taught us really about, is this group with us or is it against us? Is the government with us, or like what is these policies are really about? It really allowed us to create our own personal stance and create a hardcore feeling about, alright, do I fuck with this group or not? Especially at the late degrees too, is making you to see the reality of the groups, of all how people are associated, is
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. This reminds me of how, like, I was talking about how I started opening up to Christianity because once you start seeing the meanings behind things, I'm like, oh, it's not as ridiculous as I thought. Oh, these are all metaphors and stuff like that. That's what the moon in Sagittarius, it made me feel. It's
Mm-hmm.
like once you see the truth, or the meaning that's behind things, it's kind of easier for me to be like, all right, fuck it, let's work together. All right, fine. I do agree with you on a certain essence. Maybe your these certain interpretations with all religions at the end of the day, and that's just an example of how just having an expanded mind of what the meaning is behind the scenes. You can now link up with people and you can establish more practicality. I don't mind doing business with you guys. I don't mind linking up and working on this level of practicality because I know behind the scenes maybe the different interpretations, but the essence, I know how to word it to bring us all onto the same page. So with that broadened sense of meaning and understanding, you'll see that you can make teamwork makes the dream work with a lot more people than you realized. That you can be a lot more international than you realized in terms of not just what's around the block or what's in the corner and stuff like that, but that connection can expand on a worldwide scale, so to really not limit yourself. But yeah, that's what Thursday sounds like. Sounds like this Capricorn season we finna do it big, or it's gonna be intense, an intense Capricorn season, that's for sure. But yeah, that's how Thursday is looking. Friday, we're having the new moon. How do you think this is gonna hit us home?
So now we're gonna take all our broad experiences that we've been giving meaning and reasoning to in Sagittarius season, develop, expanding, and ascending our perspective. So now we're gonna constrict it in Capricorn. Now in the new moon in Capricorn, this is about shedding how we feel completely, and the moon is debilitated here. So as we're trying to find a new way, initially a new way of feeling, it's very hard to feel in Capricorn because we're trying to do something of value, something that deals with practicality, something to do with making sense. But it's very hard to see what makes sense but the new moon is giving you this new feeling to do it. So having the square to Jupiter, Jupiter card in Aries, you go through the learning opportunities that's necessary for you to see how can you correlate your own sense of individuality that you need to have faith in, but also you need to heal and work on with this new business plan that you will need to initiate based upon these broad experiences that you developed so far in Sagittarius season. So the new moon is setting you up for this.
Hmm. Really set your intention on what's most important, on what you really want to materialize into this world, to really solidify what your goal is. What is your real goal that you're trying to achieve into this world? Really set your intentions in on these things with this new moon, so you can plant the right seeds and get off to the good start. Like that was gonna manifest with the in the full moon in 2 weeks. So for sure, and just like what we're talking about with Capricorn, this is discipline, but discipline around the right things. You know what I mean? A lot of people maybe care or are so serious about some stupid shit, or they feel so responsible and indebted to some stupid shit that has nothing to do with them. So this energy can be utilized for the wrong thing. So and that's what just like Harry was saying, that's what Sag season was all about. You know, for you to develop that broad perspective, for you to learn more meaning and reasoning, for you to develop wisdom, so that you know you have a broader perspective, so you know what is good to start disciplining around, and you can move about that in a wise way. Um, because you can double down on a bad business adventure, or you can feel responsible about something that's constantly going to drain you, or make you feel like you're carrying the weight of the world when you don't need to be doing any of that. You know what I mean? Make you more power hungry, or really wanting to reach the highest level, to reach a higher level than where you're at, and you can really lose sight of being okay with where you are. So really set your intention of what's your top priorities, and make sure you discipline things around that. You know, what's most important for you, what's really going to make your life more efficient and work better, and blend everything, all your aspects of your life, the spiritual, emotional, the social, everything. And how can you manage all of these in the best way possible? This is what we should be setting our attention on with the new moon. And did you mention the square with Jupiter and Chiron? I guess we kind of talked about it before.
Yeah, yeah, basically, yeah. Okay, it's almost like the new moon is like you gotta expand your physical structure, your bones, what you need to take responsibility in. But it's all that taking responsibility in is obviously based upon what you need to expand and have to basically heal, which is your idea, your nervous system, right? And things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sounds like, well, if the moon is like your lymphatic system and Capricorn is like your bone system, this is what, like, setting the intention, so what, that your immune system doesn't take too much from your bones or something like that. If you get what I mean, like take the minerals from your
Mm-hmm.
bones
You
to
could,
repair the body or something like that.
yeah, it's basically seeing with their there's you could say this new moon scene can your bone like does it have a positive response or does it have a negative response as you're trying to give birth to this nervous system signal or this nervous system signal coming from Jupiter, Chiron, and Aries, is it gonna make your physical structure feel uncomfortable?
Interesting. Interesting. Definitely a lot of serious energy coming on. Definitely a lot of challenging, rough energy coming along. But this is the tune things are turning to with Capricorn season. So this change of pace, we really have to get on sync with it, and really start to solidify our emotions. That's why it starts out with Scorpio, the moon in Scorpio, and really solidifying those emotions, so that we can roll up our sleeves and do the dry work, do get the work done.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's how Friday's looking. Looking at Saturday, we have the moon conjunct Venus and Mercury and Pluto and Capricorn. How do you think this conjunction is going to hit?
So obviously, hopefully, you had something to initiate during the new moon in Capricorn, so you could be practical, have a structure for as your emotion gets tested with your love matter and what you're thinking about. Since we've been thinking and trying to love and appreciate our business status for a while before having this new emotional feeling behind our business, it's almost like now having a feeling to do something after you've been thinking about something and you've been appreciating something. This is like the energy source. So this moon as a conjunct Venus and Mercury and Pluto, you're gonna go through an emotional transformation. So you can make how you feel matches what you love and appreciate so far, or what you've been thinking so far, and obviously go through taking power and control with Pluto in Capricorn, so you could obviously prepare yourself for more business related things and being as hard as you need to be. Like this moon is just the moon conjuncting Venus and Mercury is giving you the downloads that you need to catch up on what Venus and Mercury done. And Pluto and Capricorn is gonna give you the root awakening. And then the trine to Uranus in the north road is making you see this opportunity you need to do to work on basically because the Capricorn is hard working, and then the trine in Uranus in north node is to continue working on what you've been working on. And then the Neptune and Pisces sextile is like, do you have this dream or do you have an illusion?
Yeah. Jesus Christ, this is intense. Damn. For sure. It's like either you have the weight of the world on your shoulders or you learn how to, float like a butterfly. You become Muhammad Ali and you know how to handle your emotions a little bit more gracefully and with more wit, you know, and your emotions are able to sync up with these things, if you know what I mean. If you know, because the moon can be is debilitated in Capricorn, so it's easy for it to get lost and maybe to forget itself, and to a lot of times Capricorns or Capricorn moons oftentimes are super sensitive because of that aspect where their emotions are so tied to their public status and their reputation. When people are really trying to poke at those reputations or not trying to give them acknowledgement for having that status, they can be some of the most sensitive. So there's a real level of sensitivity that can be there that can make it hard to handle all of these responsibilities and for you to take the lessons that Venus and Mercury have been learning from Capricorn in terms of putting structure and efficiency together. But there's that real opportunity for us to get shit together. It's like the whole world, your relationships, your mind, the world around you. It may feel like things are being taken away from you or doors are being closed off to you, but it's really God and the planets putting you in the right position for you to double down and buckle down on a specific type of energy, for you to really discipline and build structure on a specific type of energy, for you to be a little bit more conservative on the right things. And it's up to us to, instead of being sensitive into what's being taken away, what's being prevented, sensitive on what the opportunity, what the situation is presenting us to really double down on. So this is really where our attention should be with this energy, where we really have to get shit together, and I don't even feel like you're gonna have a choice, and it's either you run away from it and avoid
Mm-hmm.
those responsibilities, or you take the challenge that is being presented for you, all on Saturday, on Shabbat too, at Saturn Day too. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, I want to add more into like the whole moon and Capricorn sensitivity. Like in biology, it's kind of funny because our bones is obviously made of the moon, which is our immune cells, our stem cells, and so on and so forth. So that it's the most deeper aspect of us that built the external, our bones, our skeleton system, Capricorn. So you can see how the fact that as Capricorn physical structure gets like something happened to it, they have an immediate response internally because it's made by the same thing. So since the moon is so connected to our bones, they always gonna be sensitive to it because this it's made of the same material. But they respond to it in a different way to handle that response internally. This is built. They almost like they build more bones on it.
Yeah, and that's crazy because that reminds me of certain people. like say if they're on a boat, their bones or joints will start hurting, or say if there's a weather change or something like that, they'll have like pain in their bones or something like that, which is interesting because of the connection with the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Mm-hmm.
interesting. And then yeah, you talked about the trine with Uranus, the uniqueness that is being added to the level of stability and value that we all have in the world, and how that
Mm-hmm.
contributes to us not having, or the weight of the world of being honest, because it's like, what is there to do? There's well, now is the time for ultimate uniqueness, now where there's new business ventures where the old tried and true doesn't work anymore. So how are we going to be innovative, and how are we going to move forward? That's definitely adding to the weight of the pressure that we feel, but it can also be adding to finding the new ways and avenues of how we can manage these things more effectively. And then the sextile with Neptune and Pisces, how do you think that adds?
This is obviously seeing the opportunity based on emotionally solidifying how you truly feel, so you could prepare yourself for a business, something business related, something that makes sense after seeing how do you, what's your love matters truly about, seeing how what are you thinking about, you've been communicating about, and seeing what Pluto's making taking power and control, and then seeing that all allowing you to see what type of dreams, what type of illusion can I pick from, so I can have something to build on, so I can so I don't be so emotionally dry. I feel like I could see how Capricorn and Pisces energy is used so much in the collective, in the sense that even though we go to work, people still like to communicate about their dreams, illusion, even though these things may not ever exist, while we're in the harsh reality of work, business.
And that's showing the Neptune Pluto sextile that's been going on. Normally, say your religious point of views or personal beliefs wouldn't matter in the workplace, at all. But now they're so intertwined. You know what I mean? Now people are getting fired for
Mm,
certain views and stuff like that, and you know, and now certain companies are having ideologies. It's like, what does that even mean? You're a company.
100%, 100%.
So we're definitely seeing that sextile energy with the Capricorn, but we have to start utilizing it for ourselves.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's all about like I like Capricorn with Pisces, because Capricorn is direct, but Pisces is like indecisive. But if we could be direct and select something, then we could move further a lot than being indecisive and then being direct to something. But this is the type of energy where we want to build on something, but whatever we gonna receive in terms of like subconscious influence is gonna be either ours or someone else. Because like so far in society, we've been building someone's dreams and so on and so forth. But now having I feel like having the new moon in Capricorn is you taking your own personal stance on I want to build my own government
Yeah,
and things of that nature. So you don't want to build. So you don't allow someone else to build their dreams. You want to build your own dream, and I
absolutely,
feel like that sextile is like facilitating that energy.
for sure. And the square with Jupiter and Aries is making sure that you expand your individual self. That you know that this is a an individual journey, and kind of enforcing to not take someone else's path, to make your own path, to make you build your own structure, come up with your own blueprint.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. And I didn't even realize it was like Christmas time too that we're talking about. That's Christmas Eve. A
Oh,
lie. Yo, look at all of this Capricorn shit.
oh.
I've been amazing fucking busting a nut looking at the chart for these days. Fuck, they're like Oh my god, Venus.
Allah, bro. Bro, this is like them. I feel like, oh, we see Valhalla. We go to
Yeah,
Valhalla now. You see the sextile. Oh,
they about to sacrifice some good children right there. They're about to bring out the nice ones. Normally they do the little black children, but now they're gonna bring out the little Hitler youth. They're gonna bring out the blonde hair, blue eye guys for the sacrifices on this day, fresh out the freezer. But yeah, on Sunday, looking at the 25th, Moon in Aries. I mean, Moon in Aquarius is squaring North Node and Uranus in Taurus. How do you think that square is going to hit us all?
So as we're coming from this feeling that we want to give birth to related to our business plan, that somehow that is based upon what we have faith in, and is related to our dreams and our illusion. Now it's time for us to go fixate and be stubborn about communicating that when it comes to our associate, and be progressive in it, and try to be emotionally dry but floaty enough that we could allow our idea to travel and things of that nature. Having that square to the north node of Uranus in Taurus is you go through the challenges that is needed for you to see this can these ideas or the people you've been associated with, can you guys go through the learning opportunity that's needed to move further when it comes to getting what you need in terms of safety security through adding uniqueness originality in comes to your safety and material realm. So like this is the energy where you're looking at your group and your associate and your ideas, and you're going through the learning opportunities that is needed to build what you guys need on Taurus, aka taking your ideas, your habits, and then bringing them to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And that squares the learning opportunity that's needed for you to see that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I so see that. I think like the transition from like Capricorn, especially Moon in Capricorn, where we're focusing on being conservative. Aquarius is like where you can take that, you know, or maybe Capricorn's like building a brand, you know, and then Aquarius is like networking that brand and building a fan base, or building a marketing list of where to expand that brand into. So it's like as we are emotionally solidifying around, you know, like what your status is and what position your world is, how can you connect that position, emotionally connect that position with other people, you know, and make teamwork makes the dream work, you know. How can you structure
Mm-hmm.
your emotions to connect with other people in a productive forward moving way, where you know how to connect with like-minded people. And I feel like Moon in Aquarius has a very subtle nature to it. Like in the tarot, I probably said it before. It's like the Seven of Swords. It's like the guy who's stealing swords from a camp because it's like nighttime, you know, which is symbolizing, you know, like the taking of ideas, or like the opposition aspect of Aquarius. So a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
can happen subtly, but it doesn't necessarily have to be like some espionage type stuff, even though it very well it might be. But sometimes it's, you know, Moon in Aquarius is just know things about people that they don't, that other people don't know that they know. You know, that's kind of how it manifests into, where they have a lot of behind the scenes knowledge of things, kind of like Scorpio in a way, in terms of, you know,
Mm-hmm.
seeing things behind the scenes, but they're doing it more in an intellectual way. You know, more of an information
Mm-hmm.
on factual type way,
Mm-hmm.
um, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. So yeah, as the uniqueness, and then Uranus has been in Taurus too, connecting with all of that. So um, forcing us to be unique, and teamwork really playing a huge factor into how value is being um, established. You know, we can't run away from this, and it's getting close to the moon, getting close to Saturn too. Um, we can't avoid this teamwork makes the dream work thing. And look at how it's squaring the South Node, you know, letting go of our past vulnerabilities um, uh, is really what's and a lot of times preventing us from letting go of certain egos. Like what I was saying before, maybe certain like with Christianity and certain things like that, you know, or us spiritual people or astrologers, you know, interacting with religious people, you know, sometimes they would really clash heads or something like that, you know, because they're stuck in their mentalities and stuff like that. But so a lot of that can create experiences maybe you where you're a little bit more resistant to religious people, and you know you're not trying to bring this astrology gift to those people. But those are the types of emotions that you kind of have to let go, or that's creating the vulnerabilities that's preventing you from seeing teamwork makes the dream work. Because maybe A lot of times, it doesn't even have to be about astrology, or it doesn't have to be about spirituality. It doesn't have to be about all of these things for you to come together with people and still be like-minded and still have the same idea and thoughts around certain things. You can just have just different ideas and thoughts around other things. But now you have a bigger network. Now you can build better. Now you can really understand what teamwork makes the dream work is, if you can get past those insecurities. What about the moon in Aquarius trining Mars in Gemini? Do you think that's gonna hit?
So is your emotion reacting to your associates, and obviously to those to express more of those unique original ideas, you're getting the opportunity to obviously take more of these passionate conversation that you've been going back and forth in, and see how you could further your group, the people you want to create this dream with. So this is almost like Mars and Gemini. You've been working, you've been debating, you've been arguing about this now, this idea, trying to intellectualize it. But you not, being indecisive, there's nothing to do with it. But you're just being passionate about it. So having the moon in Aquarius here, this is you taking all that energy and actually seeing how you could progress society with it, or you could see what your group of people or your associate could help you to do with it.
Hmm.
So it's definitely gonna help you broader this fixed idea that you have, but also vice versa, mutate it and make it much more flexible about, as opposed to being so fixated and stubborn about your associate and how you want to progress reality. But allow these conversations that's been going back and forth to let you see what you need to do.
Absolutely.
And obviously, there's the sextile, and obviously with the sextile to Jupiter and Jupiter, the incarnate in Aries, as you go through these emotional experiences, dealing with your associate and fighting for your ideas, and this is gonna allow you to see how you could bring your sense of faith on what you've been working on so far since Jupiter was in Pisces, really building on that dream or that illusion. Now Jupiter is, you want to fight for it, and now Moon in Aquarius, this is you associating yourself with it, and now this is an opportunity for you to bring the sense of individuality in the stage or your associate or what you're fighting for, and all this creates a healing factor for Carrier and Aries, allowing you to test that how far your sense of individuality been developed, and see where you could correct the mistakes. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you see how these things play out once you have your air qualities and tendencies figured out. Um, just like within real life and how things play out physically. Once the air is controlled and sustained to a certain point, the Aries, the spark, the fires can really start taking shape and form. Once you have your and it plays out here too. Once you have certain social energies underway, or you know how to move and feel, since the moon's in Aquarius about these social, intellectual energies, you're able to understand and dive into yourself a little bit better, be able to separate yourself a little bit better and see how you feel, because you're not getting tangled up on the semantics and on the details. You have a little bit more understanding of the information that's coming through you, so you can kind of sort it and organize it in a more efficient way. Once you learn how to communicate and learn how to your individual way of thinking and learning how to just feel about these informations leads to way more productive actions towards that goal, for sure.
You're getting a large amount of like air, oxygen, so you could really see the opportunity on you could how you could like fix the
Hmm.
individuality to really move it further and make it like based on your dreams and illusion, and make it work with your associate.
I find talking to people always helps remind me about my individuality and my personal self, and
Oh.
relights the fire, in me. Once you see other people, especially when other people are being flunked out, or doing things that I could be doing but I know I shouldn't be doing, but I see other people doing it, and to see them looking bad doing it, it's like, I don't want to be like that. For sure. And that helps, the fire inside, the motivation, you having being able to sustain the image better. But when you don't have the conversations or don't entertain things intellectually, sometimes you don't. are led to that. You just go to what's more comfortable, what's more familiar, and it kind of takes away from the inner fire.
Exactly.
But yeah, guys, that's how the week is looking. Um, Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you fuck with the video. Um, Follow us on Instagram, TrueSpace_. Check out our website, truespace.biz. And yeah, catch you guys later.